Hi guys. Um, Hello mom. Today's topic: journaling as a tool for self-expression. Hello, hi Melissa, hi Cheryl. I'm just going to how do I pin this? Pin command. Okay. Alright, we're just waiting for Tersh to come in. Hi. Philip, hi Cheryl. Hi Narelle. Hi kid. Hope everyone is fine. I am just waiting for Tersh to come in. Hopefully my Wi-Fi is good. How is everyone today? Okay, so just here. Let's invite you in here. Hello.
Hi!
Hi, how are you?
How are you? I'm good. What time is it there?
It is 9, I think it's 9 o'clock now.
In the morning?
Yes, in the morning.
Wow,
I was so
bright and
excited.
early.
I couldn't really sleep yesterday, so thus you can see my puffy eyes.
It's all right.
Okay, let me have a look at the. I think there is a lot of your community, people from your community joining us as well, which is great.
Yay!
Yay! Okay, so hi everyone, I am Marilyn. So I am from Turnique, and today we'll be talking to Tersh about journaling as a tool for self-expression. And maybe as a start, Tersh, do you want to give everyone a bit of background of who you are or what you do?
Okay, in a nutshell, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so my name is Tersh. I'm known as Sky Bambi, and basically, I'm a passionate journaler by, I would say, all the time. I'm just like really into journaling, and my day job is digital strategy. So I find the yin and yang in analog and digital to find my balance. But more so, I'm just a very avid traveler as well. And I have my own stationery brand. I'm doing so many things. I feel like it's so difficult to encapsulate what I do and who I am. But in a nutshell, I journal, I travel, and I'm a digital strategist.
Yeah. Oh, great. In a nutshell, you're just doing all the things that you love, which is which is really amazing. And I think because a lot of people here today, or even for me, I first know you through like Instagram because of how all the images are so they are so good. And if anybody that's new here, this is if you go to Tersh Instagram at Skype Bambi, you will be able to see all the things that she created. And what I really like is that other than posting really nice pictures and your work, you also all your posts also come with thoughts and reflections at the comment, which is great. Yeah, do you want to show some of us what is your journaling work like?
Sure. So this is basically 3 of my completed journals in one folder. So it's going to be
Oh
difficult to really
my.
show. But yeah, this is basically what I do. I document my travels or anything that inspires me. I love to play with layers. I love to collect stamps and little bits and bobs through my travels. I think it's called ephemeras. So even like I'm very sentimental, so I keep things like letters from
Oh,
my friends, yeah, and it's basically a documentation of my life journey, people I've met, things I've done, something I love to reflect and look back on. So yeah, if you visit my my Instagram profile, you see more of what I do. And I'm really excited to share with you guys the benefits behind journaling and why I think everyone should start a journal.
Do you do this on a daily basis?
As often as I can. I would say I would to sit down and dedicate time to journal would be 3 to 4 times a week. But making lists, to me, it's different. Making lists and to do errands and things like that to tick off, I do that every day. But journal scrapbooking is like, it takes more time and more focus and mindfulness. So that happens less than I would prefer it. Yeah, I would love to do it every day. Yeah.
Yeah, it comes with a lot of effort, right? So would you like to share would you be able to share with us, like, how did you first started journaling? Like, how did it all come about?
Well, it all started, okay, we're going to get really deep and personal now.
Right.
Actually, this is the first time I'm talking to Marilyn in person.
Yes.
So, but I love it. I love that we're so naturally chit-chatting already. Yeah, so just to answer that question, as a child, I was very quiet. So my parents were rather concerned for me, and they sent me off to a psychiatrist in Singapore. And this is from my father's second marriage already. That means like I'm living with my stepmom and my dad. So obviously I'm going through a lot of internal stuff that I couldn't express. So they sent me to this psychiatrist, and she came up with this suggestion of like, okay, why don't you write to your parents? You know, why don't you hang like a little paper bag in front on your doorknobs, like a mailbox. So every time something bothers you, or you feel like you need to say something but you can't verbalize it, just write it down in a letter, drop it in your mailbox. And then for my parents, the advice was to write back to me. So it happened, like it became this habit, ritual for over a year. And after a while, I wrote not only when I had something bothering me, but when something good happened. You know, I found it so therapeutic. And long after that, even after we stopped dropping letters in the paper bags, I continued to write to myself by keeping a journal. So that's how I look at journals. Like journaling is a conversation with yourself.
Yeah, that's really important. I think as we write, because I do journaling as well, but obviously I don't dedicate so much time in, like, you know, the whole layout of it, just literally pen and paper, that's all. And I think I tend to have a lot of more tendency to write only when I am feeling down. But just now when you did say something that, you know, you write even things when things are good, and I think that is like, it's important because that makes us focus the attention and being mindful about the good things that happen as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
So when you write, like, you know, when you first started writing, it feels more like a connection for you and your dad and stepmother, you know, as a self-expression. And then how does it make you feel that keeps you going, keeps you continue writing? What is it that makes you, you know?
Well, like I said, I'm a very sentimental person. So I used to keep travel journals. I never stopped keeping travel journals because I love to collect, you know, like you go to Disneyland, you collect all the stickers, you get Goofy to sign on your autograph book. And so there was all this little form of journaling, but I didn't really understand that I was journaling or keeping a journal, because it just came so naturally that I just wanted to document things. I wanted to keep things. I still have candy wrappers from when I was a kid back in the 1980s. Oh. Yeah. So, and like now, those items are considered ephemeras for your journal, you know, but back then it was just an interest. It was just wanting to, I guess I'm like, I have a little bit of a hoarder in me.
But you hoarder it in a nice way.
Yeah, yes, I'm very organized. So it's not a problem yet. But yeah, so when I proceeded into university, I kept my journal, but it was more like a uni journal, things that I want to achieve, things I did today. So it was more like I think it's called bullet journaling.
Oh yes, of course, like the ones
Yeah.
with like points.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like what you call that? Very focused tasks,
Mm.
and that helped me get through university. But then it slowly evolved. Then after that, I started journaling in my traveler's notebook, and I just loved to write, and I would just write quotes. Like I just felt like writing uplifting quotes. I find it just so comforting
Mm.
because when you write it, I believe it's also a form of like what do you call it? It's almost like a form of a vision board, of
Right.
what you want to feel, how the confidence that you wish you had. And so I will always look out for quotes that are very self affirming, are very encouraging, and that's what my journals are filled with. Yeah.
And regarding like, expression, expressive yourself, how do you think it's like, the difference between verbally expressing and expressing through journaling or writing?
Oh, I always tell my friends that I write better than I speak. um, I think because writing, you can slow down.
Yeah.
You don't feel like you're rushed to complete a sentence. I think right now we live in such a fast-paced world because of digital as well. It's so difficult to keep up with what's happening. It's so difficult to even formulate your thoughts, and we are reacting with emojis. I feel like we
Yeah.
are slowly, losing our vocabulary. But when
Yeah.
you write, especially when you have a pen and a paper, you're so much more mindful because you don't have a backspace button. You
Mm.
can't, you can't afford to really make mistakes.
Yeah.
So I find it my kind of like meditation. Like it helps me slow down, gather my thoughts, and take my time.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Mm.
I did a bit of like research into journaling and how because I'm a science background and nursing background, so I'm kind of like I find that journaling does something to our brain to a certain extent, that it kind of like and then I remember there was an article that I read that when you're writing, basically you are activating the logical part because you're using your dominant hand, so allowing your
Mm.
emotional side to relax, and then you compartmentalize your problems to make it more manageable.
Right.
Yeah, so
Right.
do you think that that's also something that so when you're saying that when you're writing, it helps you slow down, help you
Mm-hmm.
process it, and then in order to then be able to better express yourself?
Yeah, yeah. I believe there is truth in that. Um, I get a lot of questions from people basically asking like, oh, I went through a very unpleasant experience, but I don't want to write it in my journal,
Mm,
because I don't want to remember it. It's just too painful. And how do I let these feelings out onto paper, and how do I let it go and things like that? And one of the ways that I feel like I'm able to let go of any negative emotions or thoughts, or just basically if I'm going through a hard time, is to find a lesson in the situation
mm,
so that you focus on the positive outcome,
right.
and there are so many ways of journaling. Like I always tell my friends or my followers, there's no hard and fast rule to journaling. And it's fine if you want to write it on a piece of A4 lined paper, which you just tore out of a notebook, and just like brain dump and emotional diarrhea, everything just like pour it out, and then after that, crush it or burn it or throw it into the ocean. or keep it buried deep in your closet or whatever, you know, like, but just, I think it's the act of holding that pen and processing your emotions and letting it out, acknowledging that it's there and
Yeah.
letting it go. Yeah, that's how I look at it and
Oh,
how I respond.
that's really, really good insight, because I think that's especially when you say brain dump and like emotional diarrhea, I think that's like, you know, when you write down just blah everything out.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
yeah, it's just kind of like, and you talk about acceptance as well, because when you write, you also write down like how you feel, and it gives you a moment to acknowledge how you are feeling before you move on to think about like what to do next, instead of just jumping. And when you are having a conversation with someone, it's quite often that people will just straight away give you a suggestion of what you should do, you know, but they don't really acknowledge or let you embrace the kind of emotions before they proceed.
yeah, yeah.
So like how would you describe like how journaling has influenced you to be who you are?
Wow. Wow, okay. That's a really good question. So I have not always been, or still am not as positive as I want to be, but journaling has made me a lot more optimistic, a lot more understanding, a lot more forgiving. Because, as I said, I draw a lot of inspiration from positive quotes
Yeah.
that has really helped me to process my emotions. You know, I think too often we are trapped in our own little bubble and we try to fix everything on our own, and or you know, we feel like it's so difficult to turn to people for help because it's like a sign of weakness, or we feel very vulnerable. So I turn to all these quotes because that is my next best thing,
Yeah.
you know. And I learn a lot from these poets and these writers. And I mean, I have a Pinterest board filled with, you know, writings by Morgan Nicholas Harper and like Rainbow Sol, like all the popular, you know, writers of our time. And I would say that it has become like a beautiful coping mechanism, you know. And I feel like my life is more purposeful because
Right.
I'm able to share these positive messages through a type of art form that people can connect with, even if they
Yeah.
don't journal, you know. And I really appreciate that I'm able to connect with people through social media. On Instagram, to me, it's really not about how many followers I have. I'm here because I want to make meaningful connections. And I can tell you, like, I have met people on social media that I'm so much closer to than my own immediate circle of friends. You
Right.
know, I talk to a lot of them a lot more, or a lot more frequent than my family, who are all overseas. They're all in Australia, you know. And I do chat with my parents and my siblings, but it's just a different kind of connection, you know, because people who journal, like-minded people, they just get you and you just get them. And it's like, oh my God, you're like my soulmate, you're my tribe, you know, which is what Sunday Scribbles is about. So Sunday Scribbles is this weekly gathering, and we have people from all over the world, all different walks of life, all kinds of, yeah, characters and from different age groups. But it's so amazing that when we connect, it's as if we've known each other forever. Like we will get excited over fountain pens and washi's and stickers. And then suddenly you don't feel so alone. Like you don't feel like the cuckoo friend that gets excited over all these things. And all your friends are like, what? Stickers? You're like turning 40 soon and you're still playing with stickers. Yeah, so The journaling.
you have your followers now commented like, "Yay, Sunday scribbles with love emoji, emoji, emoji."
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Hi, Faiza. Yeah, so I met a lot of wonderful people through this platform and this community, and I can just assure you that I've not met a single person who journals who I don't like. I have not. Not yet, but
Not
touch wood.
what if
Touch
I was
wood.
thinking, what if you find someone journaling and talking about you, talking bad about you? Are you still gonna like this person or not?
I will have to journal about it and like process my emotions and forgive that person.
And it's quite
Yeah.
interesting, right? Because I think the community that you have built up, I'm not sure how long you have been running like the Sky Bumping, your page, but the community that you have created, it feels very authentic, like like what you say, like the connection. Yeah, another person was saying so happy and feel supported in Sunday Scribbles, which is like great, because you have created this platform for everyone to just connect through writing.
Mm, mm, mm.
And I think that's why it's so powerful thing that we need to share, and like people need to start journaling as well.
Yeah, yeah. I thank you for mentioning that. I mean, it is a very supportive platform. I feel like Sunday Scribbles is something that I wish I had when I was growing up. You
Oh,
know,
right.
yeah. So I wanted to make sure that Sunday Scribbles is a platform that is inclusive. It doesn't
Mm.
matter what you're going through, who you are. It's a safe space. I mean, we've had people cry in Sunday Scribbles because they were
Oh,
sharing about, and yeah, but everyone was so supportive. No one like, judged or like started gossiping about it and telling other people. We just understood that this is a safe space. And uh, whenever people ask like, oh, how do I join? What do I need? Do I need to journal? What do we do? I'm like, there's no agenda, and you don't even need to turn on your camera. You don't need to turn on your audio if you're not comfortable. You can just sit there, be in our company. And as and when you want to say something, you can just jump in. So I think that kind of gave people the assurance and um, confidence to join because they don't feel like there's so much pressure,
mm.
which is something I want to talk about. There is this huge, I would call it like a myth. I want to debunk the myth of
All right.
journaling. So a lot of people think that you need to have a lot of money, right, to buy all these expensive tools, to buy all
Mm.
these branded pens or inks or notebooks. And it kind of disappoints me a little bit that some people believe in it and that it has kind of stopped them from even trying.
Mm.
So they will always make comments like, oh, your journey is so beautiful, I can never compare myself to you, or and I feel that, wow, there's all this negativity or like it's self-deprecating,
Mm.
to kind of compare. And we all, what I want to stress is that we all started somewhere, right? I
Yeah.
didn't come out of my mother's womb with like, oh, I'm going to do some calligraphy, you
Um,
know and in fact, I didn't even start doing calligraphy. I don't even know how to do calligraphy. Not like I do cursive writing, but I guess I love to decorate and embellish and make things look pretty, aesthetically. But journaling doesn't have to look that way,
mm.
you know. Journaling can be in so many forms. Uh, it can just be sticking stuff all over, just to kind of like a mood board of how you feel today,
Yeah.
right? And then just
Yeah.
some keywords, or it doesn't have to have beautiful cursive writing or calligraphy. You don't need to buy expensive washi tapes. You can, there's so many DIY projects that you can get into. I call it budget journaling. Like
Mm.
I save wine labels, You
All
know,
right, yeah.
and I cut out pictures from magazines when I couldn't afford all these things, you know. I had 2 pens. And I think a lot of people feel overwhelmed because they feel like, oh, in order to do this, I need all these things. I need
Yeah.
to but this is years in the making, you know, and everything that I have is purposefully acquired. So I just want to say to anyone who's interested in journaling, take your time to discover your style. What are the kinds of pens that you like? You know, don't feel like you need to buy like 10 things straight away, because you're going to make a lot of expensive mistakes along the
Yeah.
way. So yeah, just start small, start slow, just have a little notebook, a pen, and just start. Just start.
So we've got a question here. It says, I wonder if social media has turned a very introspective activity into a very external demonstrating showcase. Do you think that is why people feel bad about journaling?
That's a good question.
I think it's like it's not really just about journaling. I have the same not concern but observation about things like, for example, yoga or exercising, where basically all you need to do is, you just need normal exercise clothes, but it becomes a very, in social media now, it also makes it feel like this is how like, people buying brands. I mean, that's part of like marketing and sales as well. But people has kind of like formulate a certain image of how, or journaling should looks like, or how yoga or being fit should looks like, and that's why there is like a certain kind of comparison. Do you think?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. I mean, social media, there's pros and cons. This topic came up quite a few times on Sunday Scribbles as well.
Yeah.
The key takeaway is that, number one, journaling should always be for yourself to begin with. And this whole concept of comparing, it's a problem if you make it a problem.
Right.
You know,
Right.
if you look at someone else and you see positivity and you draw inspiration from it, why not? Why would that be such a bad thing? But if you look at it in a way of like, oh my God, mine is so, like crappy compared to so and so's, or like, oh, that person has the latest pen and her handwriting is so nice because of that, I can't afford it. It depends on how you look at it, and you have to be so mindful, not just for journaling, so mindful with how you talk to yourself. Like what you tell yourself, you will believe it, your inner dialogue, so to speak. So yes, I would say that yes, it has created this, perhaps a trend, or perhaps like a popularity contest almost, of like who has more followers, who has more likes, and things like that. But if it makes you uncomfortable, you don't have to share your journal online. Write it for yourself. I mean, I keep a journal that's just for me. I have a journal that is more generic. So I have multiple journals. I have like almost 6 journals going at any given time.
Oh, right.
Yeah, like I have a work journal, I have a gratitude journal, I have like scrapbooking journals, because I love to use different papers. So I'll have like maybe 3 notebooks going on at the same time. I have a personal journal where it's like really brain dump, aggressive Marilyn Manson stuff, like just like
Oh yeah.
rock it out and just like vomit on it and then like put it away. So you don't have to share anything, everything, or but if you want to, know that there's a very supportive journaling community that will be there for you. No one's going to like say, oh my God, that's so crap. Like no one will actually say bad things about it. And if they do, then it's on them. You can't control what people say. But so far, from what I've observed, even people I follow up, I I just see a lot of positive interaction within the community. And I see that a lot more people starting to journal because they feel safe, encouraged, nurtured.
Oh, that's good message as well. I think to answer, the questions that somebody had asked just now, it's like what you say. I think mindfulness just literally has to be it's too underrated, mindfulness, because it needs to be in everything that we do. And I mean, like for social media as well, when we post something, do we post it? What's the purpose behind it? Do you post it for the like, or do you post it to document this moment so that in the future you can look it back? And you said that, about the inner dialogue and being mindful about why are you writing in the first place. I think that is very, very important for us to always like kind of remember. And so is it a bit of like, how do you balance between, a marketing strategies on a digital space and then the analog part? Like, I think because you were also saying that you have so many journals, right? So you kind of like have a little bit like different personality, which is great. But you are like different, when you have different secrets, you tell different friends. So they are like little different confidente, and then you just tell them differently. So how do you balance between these two extremes?
Wow. Yeah, I guess I look at my different journals like different platforms. If I were to put on my digital hat, it's like, yeah, different platforms, different tools. And it's very difficult, honestly, to break away from digital because I use digital to share my analog experience as well.
Yes, of course,
Right?
yeah.
So it's very intertwined, but I would say it's more of an advantage than a disadvantage to have the best of both worlds. So the question is balance, is it? Right. Okay. So typically what I try to do when I journal is to not be on social media. I try not to be on social media when I journal. Like, it's just me, paper, pen, pair of scissors, washi roll, and like few hours would have gone by and I wouldn't even have touched my phone. And that's what I love about journaling. I'm immersed in my own world,
You get carried away.
Yeah. And I think this is like, I always tell this to my friends, and I use this quote so much on all my different posts, is that you need to do things that really set your soul on fire, like, and when I say set your soul on fire, is that you forget, or everything else kind of melts away, your problems, the noise outside, the social media, the cluttering of the mind. It's just like it kind of takes like a really far back seat, and suddenly you are in front of like everything that you love to do, and you just lose yourself. Like what the Eminem say, lose yourself in the music, right? So I would say lose yourself in journaling, lose yourself in art or creating. Gosh, I digress. You asked me about balance, yes. So that's a really tricky question.
That's what you mean, like, when you set yourself on fire, you just get carried away. Talking about the things that you're passionate about.
Yeah, but the thing is, I also get carried away with work. So it's very tricky because I'm very blessed, but at the same time, when you are passionately pursuing something that you really enjoy doing, you kind of lose that balance. With work, if you really enjoy what you're doing with work, you lose yourself, you forget to eat, or like you overwork, you cancel social plans. It's the same thing with journaling to me. I mean, because I enjoy journaling so much as well, is that I feel like I have two passions colliding. Yeah. But the best way to describe the balance part is basically to tune out, because being on digital 24/7, it really does take a toll, and social media never sleeps. It is like an insatiable machine, like it's a content machine. It's constantly creating, constantly conversing. And I think a lot of my clients also expect that, you know, social media doesn't rest on weekends, so you shouldn't too. It's that kind of
Right.
mentality. Yeah, it's not like I'm an accountant. I go in at 9 a.m., I clock out at 5, and that's it. Actually,
Yeah.
I don't know how accountants work, but I'm just using it as an example. It's not so textbook, it's not consistent, because platforms, algorithms are changing constantly. And honestly, I am so tired of keeping up with it. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't do this forever. And I'm already looking at like, okay, what other skill sets do I have? How can I pivot? How can I make a living out of social media? And
Mm.
that's why I started creating more stationery stuff that I personally love and I can't find. So I make it for myself. But then it slowly became like a business. So hopefully one day I can just go off the grid and still be able to pay my bills.
Yeah. Yeah. That will be amazing. That will be the life that you kind of like dream. And you know, when you're talking about how you balance between work and between journaling as well, like, you know, as we slowly wrap up the session today, like, what do
Mm.
you have in terms of, like, you know, why do you think, um, I mean, other than journaling, why do you think that being journaling through journaling you get mindfulness, and why is it so important, and or like why mental fitness is so important to everyone?
Mm. Well, you know, like I remember we had a conversation briefly about Hey Turnique, and you mentioned that, you know, everyone, you know, goes to the gym and takes care of their body and their fitness, but what what about the mind? You know, and I think you're right. Like, it's something that we really neglect and we take for granted. We don't take the time to really think of our mental health. And for some reason, over the years, it has become so taboo to even talk about it. Like, it's a lot better now, I think. Like,
Mm.
compared to, you know, me growing up as a teenager, I didn't even know there was such a thing as like mental health, you know. But
Yeah.
looking back, I did go through depression. You know, I
Mm.
did battle with a lot of dark thoughts, and I was in a dark space in a period of time. And I was blessed enough to have come out of it relatively undamaged, I would say, you know. Uh, but yeah, like what you said, like we should pay attention more to our health, our mental health, and
Yeah, and it's
mindfulness.
small little
And
things. I think it's small little things. That's why kind of like we wanted to, you know, I wanted to really speak to you about like journaling as well, because you know, when you're saying that, you know, when people say they're journaling, they're looking to get the best pen, they're looking to get the best book. I think it also comes to, in terms of mental fitness, people think that, oh, they need to be earning this much money in order to have a good mental health. They need to be, you know, in a good relationship in order to have a good mental health. But it shouldn't be that way. It should be something progressively, you know, you can start. And journaling, like what you have shared, it's a great starting point, because you can just get a piece of paper and pen and then just start practicing mindfulness in small little moments.
yeah, and like what I notice as well is that when you feel a lot of emotions, right? You can't. It's so difficult because emotions are very muddled. You know,
Mm.
being feeling anxious and feeling stressed or feeling low is not something you can pinpoint that is like clearly, what do you call that, separate
It's not
issues.
like something that
Sometimes,
you can test, right? Like a blood test or something.
yeah, it's very muddled and it's
Mm.
very convoluted. And I think journaling helps you to gain perspective, because I realize so many things when I start to write down how I feel.
Mm.
You know, and it could be like 2 pages later and then I have an epiphany, or like it reminded me of something else that shed light in this situation. So writing isn't just documenting and expressing, but it's this process of getting to know yourself better, you know,
Yeah.
and like 3 months down the road, when you read what you wrote at that point of life, you could have grown so much without realizing it. So I think that was also important, to see how you've grown, or to see how things affect you differently, to know yourself better. And aren't we all trying to improve ourselves constantly anyway, you know? Yeah. So I think it's also very important for self-improvement. And and you can't improve yourself or your current situation if you don't make an effort to improve your mental health. Yeah.
To reflect, right? I think it's very important for us to always not really look back and be, you know, why did I do that? But to see what you have learned and then bring the lesson so that you don't go through that again.
Yes.
Okay, so before we just end, do you have like a few tips for people that kind of like want to start journaling? Like like, okay, I've got a piece of paper and pen now, how do I start?
Okay, there is no hard and fast rule to journaling. So there's so many different ways of journaling. I think you just need to start writing. And journaling, by the way, can also be doodles. You can draw how you feel, and then you can write like a little description on the side of it. Or, you know, you can do montage. You can like have a sketchbook where you just stick images that you like and reflects how you feel that day, or a piece of poetry you found in a magazine or newspaper, cut it out, put it in, put like a date and your some keywords. Maybe like today it's like positive, sunshine, you know, friendship, something like that. Slowly get into it. You don't have to write essays. You don't need to be like Mark Twain and like, you know, scribble all these like deep thoughts. And it can just be very simple. It can be as simple as you want it to be. It can be as messy and embellished as you want it to be as well. I think the point is to slowly just find what works for you. And if you have no idea what to write, my advice is to wake up in the morning. Before you start your day, just write 3 things you're grateful for. And at the end of the day, before you go to sleep, write 3 things that happened that day that made you happy, or, you know, that had a positive impact on your mood. And try to focus on positive things. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. I think that that the advices are great, because there is different kind of journaling. There's expressive journaling, there is narrative journaling. So you can either write about your day in detail, or expressive is just like what we say. What was it? The vomit, or like what was the thing? You know, just vomit out. Yeah, emotional diarrhea. Just vomit everything out onto the paper. Or you can write about grateful stuff. And if you don't have a topic, then just write something that I find this is something that I do. Sometimes I just want to keep myself mindful that I don't know what to write. I just sit and then I describe the thing that I can see. Like, for example, the sun is at my 12 o'clock. There is one person walking by. And sometimes I feel that when I read it back, it brings me back to exact moment in such detail. I think it's...
Yeah. I mean, like, I keep a lot of travel journals, right? And now we can't travel. So I've been flipping through and like reminiscing, and it's just such precious moments. I mean, I don't know whether I have it here, but I remember I kept like a press leaf from Hyde Park in London, and I was just touching it. And it's just so, it just transports you back, you know? And it's so precious,
I know,
and I feel so happy to like have that memory.
It's a bit like a little connection. I do have a little leaf as well when I was traveling, but one of my friends passed away, so I wanted to have something that I can hold on to remembering him. So I just plucked like a leaf off a field, and then now even just it brings back so much emotion. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, It is. And I think also like as the world become even more digital, I don't know. I wish my grandma and my mother kept a journal,
Oh
you know?
yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's such a nice thing that to be able to pass down through the generations so that, long after you're gone, your grandnieces, your grandchildren, or, you know, whoever like meant something to you will continue to discover you in different ways, in
Mm.
a different time. It's almost like a time portal back in the days. I love collecting old postcards and old letters that were written between lovers in World War II. And I just, wow, I yeah, and I hope we never lose that kind of discovery. Not everything
Yeah.
needs to be online. And it's
Yeah.
different when it's tangible. It's different when you can touch and feel the texture. You can smell the old paper and the glue,
Mm.
everything that makes a journal a journal. Yeah.
Right, I'll have a look at the what are there's some really funny comments. Some people
Okay.
said my mom kept a journal, it's the most precious thing I have. Oh, that's
Wow.
great. And then Magic Cottage was saying, I read my journal from teenage years and laugh my ass off. Oh my God, I never want my kids to read my journal.
Naughty, naughty.
Yeah, so I think that's a great conversation. Thank you, Tesh, for always being brave enough to share your heart with the world. Yeah, we are
Pleasure.
really
Thank you so
grateful.
much for having me, Marilyn.
No
And
worries.
I'm so happy that you started this platform because I think it's really important and it's so great that it's also like a woman empowered platform and it's so inclusive
Yeah.
and yeah, so keep doing
There
what
are
you
certain things
do.
that we are trying to, like what I talked to you the last time when we were on the phone. It's some a bit like Sunday Scribbles. I think it's a platform that I wish that I have when I was going through my own mental struggles, that I wish that
Mm,
there was a place that I can just go and learn and explore more about myself with people, but I don't really have to switch on the camera or speak as well. But yet you feel this kind of silent support. I think at least that was something that I have been wanting when, sometimes you just don't want to talk to people, but you want
yeah,
people.
yeah.
It's strange. Yeah, so that's so I think it is really great for us to we also have like journaling class, but obviously our journaling class is quite short and we usually just say, for example, I might just come with last week we said about like a quote. So I have a sentence and then I have 2 lines for them to fill it up because some like a bit of guidance. So it says like think of someone or a time of your life and then what would you want to tell yourself at a point of time or
Mm,
how do you look at the situation? So it gives people a bit of a time to reflect and be like, oh my God, that was a really hard time, but look at me now. I have gone through it, and what are the lessons that I've learned? And
mm,
small little baby steps that people will start to explore themselves a lot more.
mm.
Yeah.
That's good. That's really good writing prompts.
Okay. Please, please host this again. Yeah, you all can jump onto like go follow Sky Bobby. She's amazing. And like just looking at her posts plus, I like reading all her comments as well, and also a supportive community. I think that's really something that we want to create as well. A community that you just literally connects. Through journaling, I found I appreciate more little things and vintage stuff. Yeah. Okay, thank you so much for your time today. And anyone, if you have got any question, just pop by to look at your page. And then
Yeah.
yeah, I hope that more people will journal and maybe we'll have more journaling for our kids and grandchildren in the future.
Yeah. And are you going to save this on
Yes,
IGTV? Because a lot of
yes.
my followers are in America and Europe, and it's like an ungodly hour now. So they were hoping that you would. I'll just announce that it's on your
Yeah, yeah,
IGTV. Yeah.
yeah.
Cool,
I'll put
cool.
it on ICTV. I'm also in the mid of trying to convert them into Shopify podcasts as well. So I want
Nice.
to convert it so that people could kind of like listen at the go without looking at the screen.
Great.
There is some of your followers just now that is from America. I think they said that I couldn't scroll back up, but she said she had a long day and hard day, and she thinks that this is a good session that for her to relax at the end of the day, which is
that's so lovely. Yeah. So it's been a privilege. Thank you so much, Marilyn. And I hope you have a really great weekend ahead.
Yeah, same to you. Same to you. Okay, we'll catch up soon. Thank you everybody for tuning in. I'll speak to you soon, Tersh. Bye-bye.